Right, this episode of Catch the Craze is sponsored by
Eager Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, Issue 3 is now on Kickstarter. Eager Raven, a half-unicorn, half-human princess, is forced from her enchanted kingdom of Edenron into one of the outer kingdoms of men. Eager Raven is unsure how she can help her people, but a chance encounter with a noblewoman and her unusual lady-in-waiting reveals a path more treacherous than fighting the Dragon Lords themselves. Please check out Eager Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn on Kickstarter today.
What's up, George? Welcome back. What do we got going on tonight?
Tonight, live, once again, we have our very good friend Daphne Lage, Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn. We're going to be talking to her about her Kickstarter, and that's coming up right now.
Let's get it!
We are the only show for independents all around, giving you a platform to spread your word all over town. Catch the Craze is the place to promote to your fans with the Dreamer, Medina, and Sam the Crazy Man. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. It's time to get your mans, listen to us on the go. Updated every week, we never miss a day. Join the squad, come on in. It's time to catch the Craze. If you are an independent, catch the Craze. Making moves on your own, catch the Craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the Craze. Join the movement, catch the Craze.
Yeah, George, we did it again. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Catch the Craze. Welcome to Catch the Craze Podcast. I am your host with the most, Sam the Crazy Man Vera, and I am with
George, the Dreamer, Medina. What's happening, yo?
They let you back into the country.
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
yes.
15 coronavirus tests later.
15.
Yeah, we're back. I'm
Damn.
back. Yo, dude, you had to take so many tests. It's not even funny. Like, I took one before I left. Then I had to take one 2 days after I landed. Then I had to take one before I came over here. Yeah, it's just been insane. But yeah, no, it was good, man. Fun trip.
Bugging out.
I gotta tell you, man, freaking London had me wanting to move out there and stuff. It's a really, really nice city. It's like New York. It's really similar to New York. Traffic. There's a lot of hustle and bustle. But there's differences. Obviously, people driving on the other side of the road, that bugged me out, because like on the roads it tells you look right, because the people are coming from, to me, the wrong side of the street.
Right.
So getting used to that was fun. But yeah, no, it was a good time, man. It was a really, really good time. We did a lot. My girlfriend had a whole itinerary planned out. She had it all boom, 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 boom. So we hit as many things as we possibly could.
Nice.
And it was good, man. We went there for 2 weddings, and in between the two weddings, we checked out London. So that was nice.
Wow.
Yeah, bro.
Pretty
Yeah,
dope.
it's been it was nice, dude. It was nice. I went to Charles Dickens' house. I went to see where he was buried. All that shit. Like, it was a nice, I was able to, squeeze in some things while still just kind of hanging out and chilling. And, it's such, like, there's so much history there, dude. Like, it's so old. Like, you don't realize how long England and that side of the world has been around.
Right.
We're newbies, we're babies compared to that side of the world. Like the stuff that we think, stuff from 1700s. Yeah, they have stuff over there from 1200. Like, it's insane. But
It's beautiful.
it's
Well, they
gorgeous, dude.
appreciate. I think the difference between them and here, they appreciate the history, and the architecture.
Oh, yeah.
Here was like, it's like, there's certain parts of New York where you can see the cobblestone streets and
Right,
the
right.
old architecture, but then there's other areas where they just look like something out of a science fiction movie.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, so when you walk around some of the places in England, when you walk around you'll see blue plaques on the walls outside of the houses, and on those blue plaques, it will tell you so and so lived here from this year to this year. So they very much highlight, and they don't forget their past, right? Like, where we could be walking down the street in New York and have no idea that, so-and-so lived in that building at one point.
Right.
In England, they let you know, like, You know, the creator of Peter Pan lived in this house.
That's
you know
awesome.
what I mean? Like, it's so cool to walk around and be like, oh, that painter lived there. Oh, this person lived there. Oh, that's cool. You know, and it's everything is they like you said, they really respect their history. They remember. They don't forget.
Right. We take it for granted here in the U.S.
Oh yeah, no. They. I'm telling you, man. We went to the Tower of London, and it's like in the middle of like the city or whatever, or towards the water, the Thames River, and it's like walking into a whole different world. You know, it's like walking into like an old school, you know, Lord of the Rings, or like into like an old school, like, you know, Game of Thrones movie. Like that's what it is. The you know, the jewels are there, the crown jewels are in there. It's so dope, dude. Like, have you ever been out there? You got to go. You should definitely just go. Yeah, check it out, man. I can't even me describing it is not enough. I posted some photos today on Instagram, and like it does it no justice.
See, if I went out there, I'd want to tour at night, and I'd want to dress up as Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, dude.
I want to do a case. You know, solve a case.
Yo, we did a whole Jack the Ripper tour, and those tours start at 9 p.m.
Oh,
so
man.
They take you through the city. Yeah, they take you through the city, and they take you to all the crime scenes where all the bodies found. Like, it's so cool, dude. We were like, holy cow. And like, they still don't know who did it. They still can't find the killer. Like, they still don't know who Jack the Ripper was.
That's because I wasn't there at that time, bro.
Bro, and yo, dude, the way they talked about how police handled some of the stuff back in the days, it's nothing like they handle things today. Like, they let so many things just slip by. They just didn't even bother looking. Like, they had no idea what any of that stuff was at the time. So he got away, scot clean, or she got away. Some think that it might have been a woman that was doing the killings. They had no idea who the killer is, and it was just so cool to be standing. This is where they found this body.
That's because they didn't know how to profile back then.
No, there was none of that.
Yeah, exactly. I think, you know, when you in order to profile, you have to get into the mind of the psycho in order to catch him. Like, you know, what would I do?
And part of it too, they were saying was it was happening in a poor area. Nobody cared. Like, nobody really cared. The people who were getting killed were what they called unfortunates. They were prostitutes. Yeah. They were women who were selling their bodies to be able to survive and to sleep at night somewhere, because they were homeless, they were drug addicts. So, you know, nobody cared about those people. They didn't care. They're like, all right, he killed, you know, 5 women. So what? We don't care. But yeah, that was cool. That part of it was cool. So seeing London, or seeing that part of London, or, you know, Whitechapel, which is what it's called, late at night was kind of creepy, bro. Like, it was creepy. The like, one of the pubs that was there from the 1800s and he was doing the killings is still there. Like, it's still standing. It's still there, literally. The church across the street where, like, some of the homeless people lived is still standing. Like, it's still there. Like, all of that stuff is still there. I'm like, damn. That would have been knocked down. In New York, that would have been knocked down. It would have been made condominiums. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? People would have been living there. You know, money would have been made. They keep it. Like, it's kept. And that's what's amazing about it. It's kept. They just keep it. It's going nowhere.
Well, did they finally tear down the Amityville house, or is it still there?
I don't know.
Because that was one that they tried to resell, and things just kept happening, so people just didn't stop. The real Amityville house.
Oh shoot!
No,
Amityville was.
No, here, Amityville here.
Oh.
I think isn't Amityville in Long Island? Where was it at?
Long Island.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, they might have. Yeah, you're right. They might have. I don't know. They might have done that. I have no idea. Yeah. No, you're right. That whole stuff is creepy too, man. Like, yeah, man. That was real creepy. But yeah, it was fun, dude. It was a fun trip. I was out there. It seemed like a while. I was like,
yeah, you out for a minute,
right?
Yeah, I was like, this smells of food. I was like, yo, because my you gotta see the spreadsheet with all the people that booked for the show. I was like, yo, where'd they come from? It's like somebody opened up a gate and all the indies just started contacting me. I was like, I can't catch up with plugging them in. I was like, all right, how about this? I'm double booking people. I'm like, can we reschedule?
Holy shit.
It's crazy. I was like, yo, George, get back over here.
Yo, nah. But listen, welcome everybody to another episode of Catch the Craze. We're live again. I'm back from across the pond. Yeah. Sammy's been holding it down.
I
know you got a few episodes that came out while I haven't even been able to check it out because there was no internet out. Well, there was, but they charge you a lot for the internet out there. So Yeah, so I didn't get a chance to see some of the stuff, but you got some stuff that you did, like a special episode, I think, for like Daphne a couple of weeks or last week or something?
You know, and Daphne's our special guest tonight and the sponsor of this episode as well. And you know, I got an alert on Kickstarter because I follow her and I back her campaigns. So I got an alert saying she's trying to get to $5,000. So I was sitting there, I was like, you know what? We didn't have anything scheduled for that week. And because of the mix up with all of the scheduling, so I was like, I got this footage from back in the day. I was annoyed that I couldn't find the other one because it was it's on a tape and it's still packed somewhere. But I was able to find some archive footage, and I was like, you know what? Let me at least for anybody watching for the first time, Catch the Craze, if they see this episode, they'll see how she's been in the game for a long time.
Yeah.
She's not a newbie. She's a seasoned vet with a lot of talent and a lot of heart, and she's been dedicated to her projects. And so I was like, you know, maybe that'll help drive some traffic her way and get some more subscribers.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so I had fun doing it. I was digging in the crates looking for. I was like,
nice. Yeah. No, and big shout out to everybody who's actually been supporting the channel. I see we're up to about 430 subscribers. So that's,
we had
awesome.
We have a couple of them that, you know, it goes up and goes down. You have somebody that subscribes and unsubscribes and subscribes and unsubscribes. But yeah, we're at 430 right now. Again, thank you all for subscribing to Catch the Craze, because the more people that support this show, the more people that the independents that come on the show get to reach. So if you're watching this for the first time and you dig the content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with a friend. And come back every week, because there are new episodes every week. And it's consistent like clockwork. So, so I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, well, you know, Daphne's doing her thing, killing it on the campaign, and she's got a few days left. So we're hoping that, you know, we can help move that needle again and get things going. And as you can see, I got a new mic because the other one kept echoing and echoing and echoing. So I had to go into my piggy bank and get a new microphone. And I've had that other mic since 2006.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's probably saying, yo, I got laryngitis, bro. You got to let me go. I was like, oh, I put him in a box. Sorry, my friend. So I got the Rode mic, the Rodecaster mic that goes with the Rodecaster Pro.
I recognize it.
I was like, all right. So hopefully no echoing and none of that crap. So it seems to be fine so far.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen, podcasting is about investing in some of that equipment, and sometimes you gotta do it, unfortunately. But yeah, cool, man. That looks nice. Nice looking mic.
So we opened up with Daphne's promo for Eagle Raven. We're gonna bring her in, but before we do, if you have a campaign, if you're going to a Comic-Con, a comic book event, you're doing a book signing at a bookstore, and you're trying to get the word out, and you know Facebook, they keep screwing up the algorithm. So when you buy an ad on Facebook, there's no guarantee you're going to get those conversions. So why not?
Are you sitting at home wondering how you're going to spread the word about that Comic-Con that you're about to appear at, and you want to get some press? How about your first book signing? How do you spread the word so you can get an audience there? Or that first panel at a Comic-Con? Who do you talk to? Or even your first crowdfunding on Kickstarter or Indiegogo? The world is turning to podcasting to get the word out. Why not you? Sponsor an episode of Catch the Craze and start promoting yourself today.
All right, now we're going to be bringing in Daphne. Hola.
Daphne. Her audio's coming in now. Those bouncing balls, man. There it is.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Are.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, good.
Welcome.
Good, yeah. there's always seems I always have to like keep poking at Zoom for it to work correctly every time I go on it. So.
What's up, Daphne? Welcome back on the show.
Oh, thank you. And it's like, and I'm kind of wondering. I don't remember if this might be the first Catch the Craze from my office, which means that the parrot's right here. So if you hear any weird noises in the background, that's the parrot acting up, because he always has that. He's the definition of stop acting up, because I always should.
Oh, snap.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
Oh, man.
great. That's where you do all your lives from, right? That's where you do all your shows from.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This is the infamous office.
Office.
No basement anymore.
Nice.
Yeah, you guys had like a flood down there, didn't you? Didn't you guys have some flooding down there?
Yeah, we had like a foot of water getting to the basement after the hurricane. So I was glad that I had already moved all my equipment upstairs for a while, because that would have made podcasting awkward.
Dude, what?
Because what's funny was that I was watching one of your shows when the flooding happened.
Wow.
So it's like I'm watching, and I'm watching you guys, and then all of a sudden I hear screaming outside. And then it's like, it was raining. Then I hear screaming, and my neighbors were screaming because their basement was flooding. Oh. And then I go, oh my goodness. And then I go open up my basement, and there, so yes.
Yeah. I remember that.
How high was the water? How much water did you get in there?
About a foot of water. Wow. Yeah. JD lost, he lost a lot of books.
The F-bombs. I could imagine how many F-bombs he dropped.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and mind you, this wasn't the first time he lost books to a flood. So, if you want to see a grown man cry.
That's the reason why in my basement I put everything on shelves.
Yeah.
Because that happened to me a couple times. Mm-hmm. Remember when... it was Hurricane Katrina, whatever, where we had that one hurricane in New York where there was a lot of flooding.
Well, Sandy? Was it
Sandy? Sandy, that's what it was. Yeah. So I had a basement. So I had a 2-level condo, and I had a basement level, so there was a back door that goes up the stairs into the yard.
Oh no!
So that back area, it's only had a 2-inch drain pipe, so the whole thing was flooding. So the whole lower area was. And so little water was coming in. My wife panicked. I wasn't there. My wife panicked, and her sister, and they were trying to see where the water's coming from. They opened up the door, and the ocean just destroyed everything. Everything. So when I was doing my detective work, and I was like, I'm trying to figure out, because I know I had a storm door and a double door, and I'm trying to figure it out. I said,
if they had just kept the door.
Yes. I said, so I said, you opened the door, didn't you? And she's like, that's not the point. And I was like, that is the point. But it's horrible. It's horrible. Yeah. Uh-huh. At that time, it was Crazy Comics, and I lost a lot of shirts and books and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So plastics for everybody.
Oh my God. Well, welcome everyone back. We are here with Daphne Lage. She's got a really, really incredible book called Ego Raven. Ego Raven. It's kicking butt. I'm loving what's going on with Ego Raven. You're up to this is the third issue, right?
This is the third. Yeah, we're on the third issue already. I mean, It's like that whole montage that Sam made for me, that look, you almost had me crying watching it. It's just really funny. It's like, oh my God. It's like, I remember when I was on the first show when we were just talking about it before it launched, and now we're on the third issue.
Crazy, right? It's crazy.
It's insane. Well, so this is the third issue, Daph, but I've watched some of your shows. You already have a few comics already done, right? You're ahead of the game. Like, this is the third issue being released. Yeah. But you've actually have some more that you've done already.
Yeah, I have the fourth issue completely done. So I'm just finishing the color correction on it now, because I'm going to send that out to be proofed when I send out the orders for issue 3. Obviously issue 3 is done, and I'm also almost done with the first trade paperback. I just have to finish coloring the cover, and then I'm sending out proofs for the trade paperback.
Nice.
And then I just sent out the 5th issue to be flatted. So, and I've already finished the lettering on that. So once the flatting comes in, it's just getting the coloring done, and then that'll be done. And and then it's like, and then it's moving on to 6 and 7 that I have already laid out, and now I just have to pencil and ink it. So now the real work begins.
Wow.
But my goal is to try to keep ahead of myself as far as I can. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And you're doing it all by yourself. So you're the pencil inker.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a flatter now, but those pages now come back to you, and you add all the finishing touches.
Yeah. And then it's like, I
color.
have to color correct the flats, and then it's like I have to put in the shading and whatnot. But still, though, it's like the flatting for some reason just turned out to be the most tedious thing that I had to break down and actually outsource.
I've heard that. You're not the only person that says that. I've heard that. I mean, and that's why there's like a big demand for flatters. Like that's a thing now. A flatter is like a thing now. You know what I mean?
you would think that putting in all the shading and the highlight would be the hardest part, but no, there's just something about tracing every shape. It's like it makes my eyes glaze.
Yeah, it's a
like,
pain.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, it's like, so it's like this. It was really something that I had to really decide to do. I had to break down and go, it's like, you know what, if I'm going to get these books done in a good amount of time, I have to outsource this because it was taking up time. I could have been moving on to something else.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, you know, you've been gaining momentum with every campaign. And so before we go into your story and everything, but talk about that journey into building that audience and that fan base. And are you converting 100% of those from issue 1 to 2 to 3?
Oh, that's okay. So actually it's like that whole audience prep, that's been happening for probably like a couple of years before. We were really trying to do that. That's when we started putting Tall Tales and Oswald Chronicles on Kickstarter. And we made it a point to really try to build up our mailing list. And then trying to and then it's like, and then JD, who writes Tall Tales and the Oswald Chronicles, he started doing stream shows. So that started bringing our stuff to a wider audience that we weren't familiar with before. But also it's like, that's also because of lockdown too. It's like, like I said, I don't want to dismiss what we had to go through globally with this thing, but in our case, lockdown and everything that came with it was kind of a blessing, because it forced us to do certain things that we weren't even thinking about before, like being more online and pretty much exposing ourselves to other shows and other people, and all of a sudden we started gaining this new audience by doing that. So it was kind of like that slow build, because it's always a grind. Like on another show, I was asked like, oh, what's the, like the secret sauce? And it's like, there is no secret sauce. It's just the hustle. Right. It's like, it's not, so it's like, so that's the build up, and I'm still working on building it up. And when it comes to the conversions from each campaign, I'm actually pretty surprised. That's like, especially when I started paying attention to the pre-launch pages, that like on issue 3, I had like 55 people signed up for pre-launch, and I got maybe 80% of them in the first day of the campaign. Because so it's like, so obviously everybody like issue 1 is always going to perform a little bit better because everybody wants an issue 1. Right. So the trick is to kind of keep the ones, for issue 2 and issue 3, to keep that going. And what I've been noticing is that, especially with the pre-launch, my conversion rate is pretty high, which I'm very pleased with, because it means that people aren't just looking at my book as some kind of Kickstarter collectible. They're looking at it as something they actually enjoy reading. Nice. Which in the end, that's the complete point of what we do. Right. It's like, I don't want people to just buy my book and then put it in a corner. It's like, oh, I supported it, that's all I need to do. I mean, I want people to actually read it and enjoy it. I work, it's like we all work too hard on our stuff for people to just toss it in a corner. Right. So at least, so I was really happy to see that conversion rate. When it comes to other forums, like other places like Facebook or Twitter or even my own mailing list, what's really funny is that I'm finding a bigger crossover with Facebook than I am with even my own mailing list.
Really?
Yeah, so that's why I kind of like spend a lot of time on Facebook, because that seems to be where I'm getting the most engagement, and getting the most conversions, because it's like, when, because Kickstarter, it shows you where everybody's coming from.
Right. Yeah.
And, and with my book, it's like, well, number one, most people are coming from Kickstarter. They're finding my work on Kickstarter, but number two, they're finding my work on Facebook.
Yeah.
So that's also the key, trying to like play around with, okay, where am I getting the most engagement from? Because it's a hustle, but also you don't want to waste your time either.
Right.
So you want to really cultivate the places that you can see where your audience is growing.
Right.
Yeah, I think that you said something very important, where it's like, there's no secret sauce. It's about the hustle, right?
Yeah, it really.
But also, you are, and part of the hustle is putting the product out there, and the fact
absolutely.
that you are ahead of the game when it comes to that. That means that people don't have to wait a year, 2 years, 3 years for the next issue to come out.
Yeah.
They read it, they love it. They're like, okay, when's the next one coming out? Guess what? 6 months or 3 months or whenever the hell, whenever Kickstarter allows you to put the next campaign up, is when the next campaign will come up. Because there's been situations like that even with us, where like, they were like, well, has everything been fulfilled? We don't see everything's been fulfilled, so no, we're not going to let you launch the next campaign.
Well, I mean, there's certain tricks to that, because it's like, if Kickstarter if Kickstarter waited for everybody to fulfill before launching the next campaign, half of Kickstarter would disappear. I mean, I have a book that I've been waiting 2 years for.
Right.
And in the meantime, the person who offered up this book did 5 more campaigns.
Damn, okay.
So yeah,
they
so
found
that's
a loophole.
Obviously, so what I've kind of worked, what was kind of worked for me, is that if you wait 2 weeks after your campaign, that's kind of when they usually allow you that they allow you to do another one, to launch another one. It's 2 weeks.
But you have to actually go on and make sure that everything says fulfilled in order to do so, because they wouldn't let me do it. They wouldn't let me do it.
Because it's like, because I've literally had campaigns where I didn't know you could do that. You can mark it off. So I literally have campaigns that don't have that technically say unfulfilled, but they're fulfilled. I have the tracking numbers.
They gave me lip service.
Oh, that's what they told you. I mean, it's at least they tell you why.
Yeah.
True.
So it's like, that's the thing. They don't just say, oh, you can't launch and that's it. They actually tell you specifically why.
Yeah, because I have also explained to them, I said, look, this one is for 2 months down the road. We just want to have the landing page up.
Yeah.
And they were like, nope.
Yeah, because technically you could launch during that time.
Right.
So they don't want you to end up with like 2 simultaneous campaigns on the same platform, which I do not recommend anybody do. I kind of did that by accident. Ooh. I had a Tall Tales campaign, I had an Ego Raven campaign overlap, because I run the Ego Raven campaign, JD runs the Tall Tales campaign, and we accidentally overlapped.
Wow.
So it's like I'm sitting there promoting 2 campaigns, and that is not fun. No. So I do not recommend that.
I'm sure. But Daph, let's go into Ego Raven. Let's go into that story. For those who maybe haven't heard the story or who have no idea what it is we're talking about, tell them what Ego Raven is about. Tell them, where the idea came from, and tell them a little bit about even yourself while you're talking about all of that. So that
sure. I mean, Ego Raven is this is a very personal story of mine that I'm finally getting out there after 20 years of futzing around with it. And Ego Raven is a story of a half unicorn, half human princess who lives in this magic valley where elves and unicorns live together. Like, it's the only place in this realm where they exist. And the thing is, though, because she's a half-breed, she's not really like accepted by either the elves or the unicorns, because it's like she's half unicorn, but she's not half elf. She's half human. So the elves are kind of like, oh, what are we going to do with her? And the unicorns are like, going, well, what are we going to do with her? She's not exactly, we don't know what to do with her either. So because the elves have lost their magic over generations, they figure that if they do an arranged marriage between Eagle Raven, who is the daughter of the Unicorn King Alaric, and the elf, and they marry her off to the elf prince Rillian,
Right.
that it's like, oh, maybe this will help, strengthen the bond between our two people, and bring magic back into the elfin line. But Prince Rillian has other ideas, and he teams up with the Dragon Lords to overthrow his own family, his own ruling family, to take over the valley. And what Prince Rillian finds out the hard way is that dragons don't share. And in the meantime, Eagle Raven and her uncle escape into the human kingdoms, neighboring kingdoms. So now it's like she's finding herself exiled in the mortal world where she's never been before. And now she has to try to figure out how to come back to her kingdom and return it to the way it was before. So that's the overview of the story.
Right,
so now we're on issue 3, where she's going to find out the hard way that there might be a way to do it, but but we're not sure if she's actually capable of doing that. So yeah, issue 3 is where this train gets going.
Nice. How many pages is that?
It's 32. All the issues are 32 pages.
Full color, 32
Full
pages.
color, no ads, just 32 pages of full story.
Nice. Yeah. And you've been working on this story for a while now. You said 20-something years. So what finally made you go, oh, all right, you know what? It's time. It's time for me to go.
Well, Eagle Raven started off as a portfolio mascot for my website. Back when I think I built that thing maybe like right before I went to the School of Visual Arts. And she's been just a mascot. But the thing is, though, she was a mascot that made me ask questions. So I started asking these questions. Well, who are you? What do you do? It's like this, that, and the other thing. And as I kept asking questions, the story started to develop. And after a couple, it's like for a while. And then it's like, once I got like a basic story together, I started doing comic book pages for it and just posting it online as a hobby. Because like I was doing Tall Tales as my main comic, and this was my hobby comic, because as I like to joke, so what do you do for work? I draw comics. What do you do for fun? I draw comics. It's like that type of thing. So I was just posting up these pages, just whenever I felt like it, so just getting it up there. And it got to a point where I had like 5 issues, but I kind of didn't know what to do with it. Like, I wasn't sure like, how serious I was with it. And then lockdown happened. And then all of a sudden I had all this extra time. And for some reason, just something clicked, and it's like, well, you could finally do Eagle Raven and put it on Kickstarter. Like that just popped in my head. And then I go, yeah, you know what? It's kind of time to get off the pot with that book. It's like I futzed around long enough. I mean, either finish it or, either commit to it or, let it go. And I decided to commit to it. So I watched a lot of YouTube videos about how to color comic books correctly, how to, do digital lettering correctly or whatever. And I was putting together this book, and it's like, I colored it and I relettered it. I tweaked the artwork so that it didn't look dated in some parts. And I wanted to make sure that there was like a consistency with, even though like there was a lot of time between issues, I still wanted to have a feel of consistency. Yeah. Especially now that I'm putting these books out like every 3 to 6 months, as opposed to like maybe once a year that I was doing it, before. And once, and it's like, and it just at one point, and once I finished that issue, it just became like so real. Yeah. And then it's like, at that moment, I started working on the script to finish the script. And then and then it's like at the end of, I think it was like around December of 2020, that it's like I finished the script. And like, I'm talking about like, once I realized I had written the last line, it's like I had a breakdown. It's like I was just laughing incoherently for like 20 minutes because it's like this huge weight was just lifted. Like finally, I was fine. This was finally coming together. It's like I had a complete story, and then it's like, okay, you know, there's no looking back now, so let's put it on Kickstarter. And yeah, that was like in January 2021, and then.
So how many pages is that last script? So how many books is this?
This is going to be in total, it's 15 issues.
15. Okay.
Yeah. It's like, I really wanted to keep it controllable for me, you know, because it's like, you know, because all the lessons that I learned from Tall Tales I brought here, and it's like, yeah, it's like I really, because it's like, look, you know, it's like, you know, when you're in your 20s you think you have all the time in the world, and when you're not in your 20s you kind of realize it's like, oh snap, I got to get my shit together
quickly.
like,
you
yes,
do, that happens real fast. Yeah,
exactly. So I don't want to spend another 20 years working on this book. You know, it's like I don't want
pages.
Yeah, I was just doing the math.
You know, especially
I swear to God, I was typing it up like 480.
Yeah,
pages.
yeah. I had to do the math on that just to make sure, because it's like I'm looking on getting like 4 issues done next year. Pretty much get the material for the next trade completed next year. You know, in 2022.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just really trying to, like, you know, it's like, yeah, I'm grinding, but I'm also taking care that you're, you know, that I'm putting out quality work.
Yeah, it's quality over quantity still.
Yeah, exactly.
Always.
You know, I still want it to look good.
Sure.
Because my brain is already like coming up with graphic novels for after this story.
Right. Yeah.
And there's already like 3 of them that I'm already like kind of putting everything together. So it's like, well, if I want to get to those graphic novels, I have to get these 15 issues out. So,
well, here's a question for you, Daphne. Now, you do both things. You're an artist and you're a writer. I mean, you're obviously doing both now. Which one do you find easier? Which one do you find, and maybe easier is not the right term. I mean, because I think it's a time thing, right? Like, I think it just takes longer for you to draw than it does to write. But which one do you find, you know, I want to say easier because I'm just being lazy.
Yeah, but I know what you mean, though.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. It's like, well, because I kind of do both. I mean, work-wise, drawing the pages is always going to be the hardest for me. That's always the most time-consuming. I've been experimenting a lot with kind of like doing like shorter stories and trying to like build up my speed by practicing on these shorter stories, like doing 4-page stories, 8-page stories, you know, but like complete stories, not like segments. But the thing is, though, is like if I wanted to do something more elaborate, I have to go to prose to do it. Gotcha. Like the graphic novels that I'm talking about, I have them in prose form. So I'm writing the story out in prose. I have all these segments that I'm still putting together. So it's like whenever like an idea or a scene pops in my head, a lot of time I'm just writing it in prose. Sometimes an idea is too visual and then I put it in my sketchbook. I have a sketchbook specifically for that. It's like, it's my notebook, but it's just artwork. It's the doodles that you see on Facebook sometimes. That's those are my notes. So it's like, sometimes I just draw out these ideas that may or may not turn into something. Right. But they're there. But yeah, it's like, but if I want to get more complicated, I have to write it as a story, and then I convert that into comic book format. Because with prose, you can do a lot of things that it doesn't make sense to do in comics, because in comics, you kind of have to be hyper-focused with your story, or else you're going to end up with 300 issues that you're never going to finish. I mean, but in prose, not only can you kind of like experiment with certain things and that you couldn't do in comics, but you can also meander a bit with the story, and it doesn't seem like it's out of place. Where in a comic, it's like, oh, it's a side story and it's getting in the way. So yeah, that was also the reason why I did my prequel in prose. because I have a prequel to Heir of the First Unicorn. It's called Legend of the Silk Rose, and it's a story that takes place like 21 years before this, before the main storyline, that explains how Eagle Raven's parents met, because a unicorn girl just doesn't come out of nowhere. That one I did as a prose story with illustrations as opposed to doing it as a comic, because I wanted to make a more like a fairy tale type story. And there was like so much detail in the story I wanted to put in and explain that it wouldn't have worked for me as a comic. It would have been too long. But as a story, it works, because it's like I said, it's like prose allows me to do a lot more with the story.
Right. Before we proceed, I just want to recognize that Michael Sammartino is in the audience, and so is Comic Talk with Pops Van Zant.
Oh, hey, Pops.
They both say what's up. So now, what I find fascinating is also your chapter subtitles. They come like it sounds like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings. How do you come up with these subtitles?
Well, because I know we use a lot of like Heir of the First Unicorn and Legend of the Silk Rose. Because I know we use a lot of subtitles in Tall Tales. Like I think each issue has its own subtitle.
Right.
I don't know. It's like to tell you the truth, I really didn't think about it.
Because that's what the subtitles are even more intriguing.
Yeah, it's they're just chapter titles for me. I guess it's a way for me to organize them. So yeah, to tell you the truth, I really couldn't tell you how I came up with the subtitles. It just kind of made sense to me than if I had just left it Eagle Raven.
Right.
You know, so it's like, well, this is like Legend of the Silk Rose is one story. So it's like, okay, so it made sense for me to have that descriptive subtitle as to what it is. And then Heir of the First Unicorn is its own story arc. So it's like, okay, that should have its own its own title. And it's like, oh, and to give you, you know, I guess to give Catch the Craze a little exclusive, the graphic novel that I'm working on that's going to come out after the 15 issues, it's called Cult of the Wolf Witch. So, you know,
Nice.
I guess it's like just how I organize the story arcs.
Yeah. No, I mean, like Forbidden, I have chapter titles, but yours seems so much alluring, intriguing.
Oh, I don't know. It's like, you know, I don't know. I guess it's like, you know, I just keep like saying things to myself until something sounds right.
You know, and I was going to ask you that because it just sounds, Daph, like you're a very confident writer. I just think that there's something about there's something about it just comes out naturally. Like for you writing, just to me, it seems like it's just something that's natural to you. Whereas, I mean, you're an incredible artist. Your artwork is ridiculous. But I think that sometimes, and even for myself, like sometimes I think drawing is a little intimidating sometimes because there's
Look,
just
I still
so
find
many,
it that way.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean. Like, and I think that that's part of that. Like, words are just so much, they just come out, like, and that's why the subtitles just come out that way, because it's like, oh, this is easier, I guess, in a sense.
Well, I know exactly what you mean, because it's like, you know, to this day, my art, I'm intimidated by my own art. So I completely understand that. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that my writing really stems from reading novels as opposed to reading comics. Like when it came to comics, I came in late in the game. You know, it's like I really didn't discover comics until I was maybe like 12 or something. It's like when I found ElfQuest at Barnes and Noble and Rocket Raccoon at a supermarket. So I didn't so novels is where I guess my ideas of writing is. I don't write for comics. I just write as I see it in novels. And it's like, and I've even gotten to a point where, you know, I'm still experimenting with the idea of audiobooks, but that's like a whole other different thing too. And it's like, really, you would think that would be easier, and it's not. It's very time consuming and, you know, and requires a lot of editing. And what I found myself doing is like, so I write these little vignettes, you know, before, you know, and then I record them. And then I sit there listening to it to see whether the words work or not. You know, it's like, does it sound natural? You know, it's like when I'm saying certain things, and then it's like, you know, never mind that sometimes I start doing voices and stuff, and it's just kind of like a whole other thing. It's like, but yeah, it's like, so that's kind of how I look at writing. I'm not writing for comics. I'm just writing.
Right.
And then it's like, if it works, then I convert it to a comic.
That makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, yeah. For those who are just joining us now, if you haven't been watching, we are talking to Daphne Lage, and we're talking to her about her Kickstarter project, Eagle Raven, heir of the first unicorn numbers 1 to 3, and the prequel story.
Yes.
What kind of like what's interesting to me on this campaign, Daphne, you have about a week left.
Yeah.
So guys, make sure you go in there and pledge.
Yeah.
But this little sticker here that says Project We Love.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was.
Yeah, how did that happen? Like, talk to me a little bit about that, because for everybody watching, this is a project that Kickstarter loves. So you know it's up there. So talk to me about that.
That was surprising. I mean, it's like Kickstarter We Love was something that I would see other people get. It's like, damn, how do they get that? And there was always these you know, like this, like, oh well, you have to do this, you have to do that, and you have to have this kind of campaign. You can't have a graphic with text in it, and I mean, like, just all sorts of weird things, right? It's like, okay, you know, it's like, look, I don't know how to get one. I'm just going to put together my campaign and just move on. You know, it's like, I'm not going to sit here trying to strategize everything. It's bad enough that it's like, I'm sitting, you know, sometimes I'm sitting trying to figure out the algorithms to YouTube and Facebook and Kickstarter. You know, it's like, I'm not going to add that. But it just turned out to be one of those things, kind of like when you stop chasing it, that's when you catch it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't even remember what I was doing. And I just happened to look over my phone, and I got the little pop-up, oh, you got mail type of thing. And it was from Kickstarter. And it's like, oh, why are they emailing me? And it's like, oh, we've selected Eagle Raven as a project we love, which means that somebody physically saw my campaign and gave it the designation Project We Love, which means that it goes in all their newsletters. They do special, I guess, like dedicated blasts. There's a dedicated section that you can look in and whatnot. And I was just tickled pink. I was thrilled. I couldn't believe it. It's like, it's like third issue. It only took the third issue. And it's like, I got a Project We Love. So I couldn't tell you how I got it, but you know, I still just thinking about it still, hold on. They always want to act up when, you know, I'm online. You know, it's like, I don't know how I got it. I couldn't tell you how I got it, just that I got it. Yeah. That's pretty much it.
well, listen, that's a great thing. I mean, you know, Project We Love is an awesome thing. You've already made your goal of 1,500. So, you know, this is an all or nothing project. It ends October 20th at 4:13 p.m. So if you guys haven't yet, go in there, pledge. Talk to us about your stretch goals. Now that you've already made your goal, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
I know that I was watching your launch show, and you were talking about some trading cards.
Yes.
So where are you with the stretch goals? Where are we?
Well, right now we okay. So I have the main thing. One of the reasons why I keep pushing for 5,000 is because it just makes it easier for me and unlocks everything. So, and also 5,000, it would make this my first, like the highest solo campaign I've ever run. So that's why I'm kind of fixated on 5,000. But right now, the stretch goals is I have a 9-card trading set, a 9-card trading card set that collects all of the main characters. And right now we have the first 3 unlocked. So we have the remainder of the cards plus a sticker to unlock. So we're kind of like in that part of the campaign where it starts doing this, and giving me all this anxiety as to whether I'm going to make it or not.
Right.
So it's like so that's what we're trying to unlock now is the trading cards, because we did a set for Tall Tales. And I just love the way the cards came out so much that it's like, I need to do cards. I think it's like I spent, like, I love the cards so much. I spent like a week just working on those cards to have them ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And there's a set. What is it? 6 in total, right? There's
nine. There's 9 cards in total.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Because right now, so we're up.
Right.
We're trying to unlock the second set, which is 3.
Yeah, 3. Yeah, so it's
at
3, 3, and 3.
Yeah, at 3,500.
Right.
So yeah, that's awesome. And we actually had this conversation with Sam on the show prior to this about stretch goals and why they're important and why even after you made your goal, people may say, "Oh, but you're still asking for money." Well, yeah, because there are things that may drop off. There may be pledges that drop off. There's there are things that Kickstarter are going to take. So it's important to have these stretch goals out there. But I think you're going to make it. I think you're going to do all right.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. And also it's like if you're into variant covers too, I have plenty of those too. Although I decided not to go as crazy as I did on the issue 2 campaign. So this one, it's just the regular variant covers that I have. So it's like you get the virgin cover, you get the silver foil cover, and the hollow foil cover. So if and always the sketch cover. There's always a sketch cover to so those are what so those are like the main things that all are available. And also it's like there's always catch-up levels. So if this is like the first time anyone's hearing about this campaign, you didn't miss anything. All issues there's a level there that has every issue there so that you can catch up in one swoop. So so you can read this. I want everybody to read the story. Like I said, I've worked too hard on this to just say, you missed it.
True.
Like, no,
And there's even a 16-page, just a 16-page download for free, just to catch up.
If you need more, if someone's looking at the campaign and they need a little bit more convincing, you can download a 16-page sampler of the first issue. Just to try it out. So it's like, look, you just show up and you get something for free.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Before we let you go, Daph, tell us a little bit about the Catch the Rainbow edition.
Oh, yes. So my screw up is your game, as I was describing this. So this was originally supposed to be a 24-hour limited set. Like for people who showed up on the first 24 hours, they could get this special set, and then it was supposed to close. Thing is that I screwed up the coding, so it never showed up, and it was a mess.
No.
So I made it available for the entire campaign or until the 24 sets sell out. So the difference, so what this is you get issues 1, 2, and 3 as in their hollow foil variant. So you get the issue 1 through 3 hollow foil, and then what this comes with is a exclusive metal bookmark and an exclusive metal trading card. So this is the only way you can get those 2 things, with the trading card and the bookmark, and they're both metallic. They're both metal. Wow. They're not paper. They're printed on metal.
Nice.
So there's only 24 sets of this. I have sold 8 already. Last I checked. So there's still sets available, but like I said, they're only limited to 24. So they're only going to be available till the end of the campaign or till the sets run out.
Michael San Martino's asking, is it PG?
It's more like, so yes, I do have it marked as mature readers. The book is a mature readers, even though I guess your definition of mature readers is, your mileage may vary. But the thing is, though, because the story is finished, I know exactly where it's going, and it's going in a couple of places that I don't want. It's going to be more like a PG-13R as the series goes on. And my whole thing is that I didn't want people to just blindly buy this book for their kids and not pay attention to what's happening in the book. Even in issue 3 and issue 4, there's a couple of, actually what's funny is I think there's a couple of conversations that I'm like, yeah, it's a good thing I marked this mature readers, and that's just conversation. Yeah. But the thing is, though, there's going to be, the violence and adult situations, I guess, to put it mildly.
Right.
But it's going to be more like a PG-13R. as it goes along. But yeah, it's like, because I kind of debated as to whether to do that, but then it's like, yeah, I really didn't want to have that weird thing where it's like, people are buying it for their kids and then they get to certain issues and they're going, hey, wait a minute, and it's like, well, no. I'm marking this from the beginning. Yeah. Because it's like, in the end, it's like, I'm an adult making fantasy comics for other adults. And that's kind of, how I'm playing it. It's like, if, it's like, I know there's a lot of precocious readers out there, it's like, that maybe your child, reads at a higher level or has a higher comprehension. But you know what? I'd rather the parents take that lead. Right. Rather than just say, oh, it has a unicorn on it. How bad could it be? Because, it's the whole, I don't want to end up the Watership Down of comics, where it's like, how we fight, oh, it's a cartoon about bunnies. How bad could it be? And it's like, oh, okay. Right. And we're all walking around,
awesome.
Seeing it. So yeah, so it's, yeah. So that's what it is right now. I mean, if you kind of want to get a sense of where the story is going, you can actually go to my website, egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can read the first 5 issues in its original black and white format. It's for free. It's there already. So it's like, if you want to spoil yourself, you can, feel free to do it on the main website, because I want to make sure everybody understands what they're getting.
Yeah. No, good point. No, good idea. Yeah. You don't want to be, responsible for that after the fact. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because it's like, I really model, I try to model myself after Wendy Pini for her ElfQuest work. And I remember when she got into trouble for something similar, and it's like, oh, yeah, I don't need that. Right?
Outstanding. Yeah. So so we're excited for you. We're hoping that but that you coming on the show. Hopefully, we'll get some more eyes on the campaign. And we started with your promo. We're gonna end the show with your promo.
Thank you.
Last minute, how can people reach you?
Sure. You can find everything. You can head over to my main portfolio site, egoworks.com, EGOWRKS. You can find links to all of my galleries and social media sites. But like I said before, I mostly hang out on Facebook. That's where you can see me posting up, updates and work in progress and, sketches from my notebook, just to, test the waters on certain things. And also, you can also find me on YouTube, where I try to do weekly streams. I'm trying to get back into that. I'm working on a new video right now. Hopefully that'll go up soon. I got to get back on track with that. And like I said, you can also read Ego Raven for free on my website. And also, if you want to check, if you prefer your fantasy to be more Lord of the Rings type, as opposed to like a fantasy soap opera, you can catch the link to talltalesonline.com, TAILS.com, online.com, and you can read the first 20 issues of Tall Tales for free there. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Daphne. It's been great.
Thank you.
Having you on again, and you're always welcome back.
Always a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Yes, awesome.
Always.
Come back for number 4.
Yes,
absolutely.
Come back for number 4. Yes. And for everybody watching, we will be back in 5 minutes with another guest. So make sure you check out that show. And we're going to end it with Daphne's promo. So again, thank you, Daphne, so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
And we'll catch you all very soon.
Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, Issue 3 is now on Kickstarter. Ego Raven, a half-unicorn, half-human princess, is forced from her enchanted kingdom of Edenron into one of the outer kingdoms of men. Ego Raven is unsure how she can help her people, but a chance encounter with a noblewoman and her unusual lady-in-waiting reveals a path more treacherous than fighting the Dragon Lords themselves. Please check out Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn on Kickstarter today.